Well, good evening, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. We're unmuted this. I'm just going to unmute Starfleet Boy. Oh. Now we're unmuted. There we go. You can unmute yourself now, Starfleet Boy. You tricked me there.
Right.
I saw the mic mute thing. I was like, I swear I pressed the buttons, but no, apparently I didn't.
I was trying to unmute and it wouldn't work for some reason. I was like, what's going on here?
I pressed the buttons
Mercury's
correctly,
in
yeah.
retrograde.
Quickly, press the colourful buttons. Hope for the best. Hello, everyone. My name's Captain Jack, and welcome to Trek Central Live for the week on the 15th of May, 2022. We're, of course, discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Episode 2, Children of the Comet. And what an episode that was, Hale, eh? Man,
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Really amazing episode. A lot of good stuff this week. A lot of references to other Star Treks, which I love too, but not over your head kind of references, just like not like hitting you over the head, sorry, kind of references, but like references and connections to other Star Trek stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you, Jack.
I'm really excited as well. And chat, don't forget we're going to involve you in our discussions as well. Please do feel free to ask your questions and we'll answer them throughout the stream as well. If you want to include little emoji or stuff like that, alternatively, you can become a YouTube member or submit a donation and we'll speed it or expedite your question. It's greatly appreciated. But hello everyone in the chat. It's lovely to see so many people back as per usual. Donnie, lovely to see you, and hopefully some of our friends and guests will be joining later on as well. One thing I want to touch on, by the way, is we spoke about this just as the stream was beginning. Today there was a new glimpse of season 3 for Star Trek Picard, or the unofficial glimpse of a certain starship.
True.
Now we can't show a picture, but I got sent this today going, hey look, the LCARS image has been unblurred, and here it is. And I'm like, okay, that looks like an interesting starship. I'm going to be pretty interested to see how that turns out. And you've seen the picture as well. We're not going to say what the picture is, but damn, what does that make you think now, Sahel? Like, is our theories coming true?
I think so. Very enticing. Personally, personally, I'd like to see another ship come back. A little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm also still excited about what we saw in that little teaser, or that little leak actually is what it was. But yeah, lots of interesting implications like for next season. I'm sure we'll get some more. Jack, what's your prediction on when they're going to drop season 3? Is it going to be early next year? I don't remember if I asked you this last time, or do you think it'll be at the end of this year?
I'm going to say 2023. I would be really, really surprised if they dropped it this year. I think it would be too much. I mean, personally, like, to open this conversation up further, I view Star Trek's current schedule as too jam-packed, personally. I think like there is nothing wrong with having Star Trek on all the time, but for the love of God and my sanity, give us a 2-week break between seasons. Like, also, like, ending Picard and starting Strange New Worlds on the same day just makes no sense. Like, we're not in the age of cable anymore where things have to air at a strict time. Like, Picard could have ended on a Thursday and Strange New Worlds could have started on a Friday, or vice versa. Why everything needs to be chucked into one Thursday and one after the other, I don't know why. Like, if anyone knows this like Paramount has inside access, please do let me know. But it just doesn't make any sense.
My only insight onto that is that my sister, she's like, you have a deadline to watch it because you got to talk about it, but I just wait. She waits, like, she waited a week to watch Picard and and so on and so forth. So maybe the rest of the audience is like that. Let us know, audience. Do you guys wait, or do you watch them right when they come out? But yeah, it was definitely vexing for content creators when Disco season 4 ended and Picard season 2 started, and then the same thing happened.
And also
with Strange New
splitting
Worlds.
Disco as well. It's like, I would have just waited. Like, I don't get me wrong, I'm also on the other side of the fence where I hate waiting for things because I like new stuff now. But I like being in a hype. I like theorizing and stuff like that. Give us a break between seasons. It would have been nice to theorize content and stuff like that in between the end of Picard and also the start of Strange New Worlds. It would have given the audience more like demand and patience to wait up for stuff, and also give people a break. I feel like, although yes, we are in the new golden age of Star Trek, if we're calling it that, or platinum age, whatever we had discussed last week with the new age. Like, we should have like a little break here and there because they're also doing a bit OTT. That's just my opinion. Like, I don't want to complain about too much Star Trek, because who's going to complain about that? But,
yeah, exactly.
And even a week, like a couple of days for the next like series would have been a great idea, personally. Just a breathing room. Like, you shouldn't have that. Like,
breathing. We need breathing room.
We need breathing
room. No, I do think that I don't know if you remember experiencing something like this, but for me, when we had like DS9, Voyager, and I think did Enterprise start also, or did there was?
I'm going to show my age and say the only or the only legacy show I've been alive to see on air would be Enterprise. I think Voyager ended when I was growing up. I was very young.
Okay,
so
then in that case,
yeah.
So like there was a time back then where I feel like at least me, I was like a little overwhelmed with how many shows, but that's because it was a different time in my life. Now I'm like, yeah, give me all the shows, it's not a big deal. But yeah,
there is a flip side argument as well, so you can watch it when you want, so it doesn't matter when it airs, but that is a good thing. But also, like, we must think about general media, PR, and business here. Like, to open up the discussion, you have to structure these things properly, else things can't succeed. Yes, viewers can watch when they want, but premiere dates and air dates are super important from a business point of view. And not a lot many people discuss this. Like, the marketing hype for stuff is crucially important to getting your show sold and making sure it's a success. You can't just rely on the primary audience stuff. Like, Star Trek is a pretty big primary audience of dedicated hardcore fans. However, in the grand scheme of things, I think I might be correct in saying they're in a minority compared to the entire audience of Trek. Like, the dedicated things, i.e. me and you, and probably several of people in our chat who will watch anything they put out and play anything or consume anything, are in a minority compared to the entire audience. And that's something I think Paramount sometimes don't take into account, which is, it's too fun against. It's a hard discussion to have.
In the chat, there's a really good point. I think Joel points out relentless Trek releases would be okay if the worldwide streaming thing was sorted out. And yeah, we're definitely big stands of getting that, getting those, let's just release it at the same time. Let's get to that point, And so, I think that would be better. And then also Crazy Space Monk, great name, Jill, as always. Picard's debut killed Discovery, and Stranger Worlds debut killed Picard finale. Just stop overlapping. So yeah, different opinions there. It's cool.
I just noticed a question for Mr. System 96. And obviously this will lead us into the discussion of Stranger Worlds as well. They say, what country in the world has never been represented before would you like to see represented? That's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, what country? Really, that's an interesting one, really.
Just off the top of my head, I feel like most countries have been represented, except for maybe some of the Nordic countries.
I was going to say Nordics as well. I was thinking Nordics. I'm going to say it. Like, I would love to see the Nordics. Get me someone Swedish or something like that on. I think that could be great. Swedish chief engineer. I think it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Give Hemmer a Swedish accent. Come on. Or Dobson's New Zealand. That could be funny.
That could be really fun.
I mean, like, I don't want to be offensive and say we need to play to the stereotypes, but we did that with Scotty a little bit, so I feel like we can play it with other people as well.
Yeah.
A Swedish chef. Yes, give us a Swedish chef. That'd be great.
Hey, let's get that Muppets in Space crossover going with Star Trek finally. That would be really fun. But yeah, that's the only thing. Australia, Text Trek is saying Australia hasn't been represented, but I feel like, let me think for a second. I mean, you're right, because Elnor is not Australian, he's Romulan, but the actor is. So as far as representation goes, a character, I can't think of one from Australia either. So yeah, maybe Australia needs a little love in Star Trek as well. So
that'd be great.
Yeah, but otherwise,
I'd love to.
Because Rios gives us South America. Have we ever had an actual bona fide Canadian on Star Trek? I don't think we have.
I think we have. I swear.
Maybe. Yeah. No, Riker's Alaska. So yeah, I was gonna say Riker maybe, but no, he's Alaska.
Yeah.
Oh, could it be on lower decks because there was a ship called the Vancouver? So maybe there was Canadians implied there. I don't know, but yeah. But Australia.
The chat saying Jess Bush at the minute. Yeah, I think Jess Bush is Australian, isn't she? But we're speaking about the character. I'm not sure if Nurse Chapel is meant to be Australian. I'm not sure if that counts. Like, because obviously, like, in the same argument, Elnor or Evan Evergore is from Australia. But Elnor isn't. Elnor's from a different planet, not Australia.
Right.
Unless that's what I mean. It's like it's a double-barreled question, really. It's like what character could be from that place, or actor or actress could be from that place as well. So it's an open question, should we say?
That is a good question. Yeah, let's get some more countries in there. I like that question.
Sure, a bunch of countries in Asia, that'd be great as well. I'd love to see more of that. I mean, we obviously have Michelle Yeoh as a great Asian representation for season 1 of Discovery, or all 3 seasons of Discovery so far, just not season 4, and hopefully the Section 31 movie or series, who knows. We don't know that one, do we?
We don't know that one.
So I swear these live things turn into what can Jack say this week, or possibly get Trek Central in trouble. But it's fine. Somebody else said it before we said it, so we're fine. Just disclaimer, we're fine. There's a lovely article on TrekCentral.net if you want to go read it. I'd encourage people to read it.
We also got Malaysia in there. I think that's a good one too. Malaysia would be a good one.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love to see that myself, yeah. Tom Paris is imprisoned in New Zealand. It's a bit weird to make New Zealand a prison colony in Voyager, isn't it? That's a bit...
I don't know if it's the whole country.
I wouldn't be, I would be a bit like, I would be taking it a little bit.
I mean, like, how many how many prisoners are there anyways? They all seem to, it just seemed sparse to me.
I'd hope so, this in the modern day and age. I'd hope so.
Yeah, I agree.
Christine Chong's dad is from Hong Kong. Oh, okay. Is Asian from Hong Kong. She's Chinese and English. Oh, okay, cool. That's interesting. Tech Structure is a good point now. Before we get on to Strange New Worlds again, obviously Picard is ending in less than like 12 months, give or take, presumably. I'm surprised they've not announced the next Star Trek show just yet. Now, Alex Kurtzman has teased recently that things are in production, and I wonder if they've given like the tease to the next Star Trek show already, and this is that mysterious SETI Alpha series or thing that's been rumored following Khan. Because in Picard, at the very end, with soon they tease Project Khan. I wonder if that's a subtle tease to viewers. I wouldn't be surprised if that was.
I would like that. It's an interesting character and an interesting time period to explore. Who would you cast? Do you have anyone in mind that you would cast as Khan?
Oh, who could play a good Khan is the question.
Like these days, yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Who has like? I feel like
if we're talking about actors regarding any budget whatsoever, I think Tom Hiddleston, aka Loki, would make a great Khan potentially. A younger version, at least.
Would.
He's got the I'd say he's got a facial structure and the acting potential to bring someone like Khan to life, I think.
He totally has, in terms of resembling Montalban, you're right. He does have that kind of like strong, chiseled look to him that Montalban also had. That's interesting.
I still stand by a point. Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job as Khan in Darkness. Like, I think no matter what you think about film, Benedict's acting is always going to be fantastic.
That's cool. Very cool. Hey, we did get Malaysian representation. Giorgio is Malaysian.
Oh,
she does say that. Yeah, that's right. So there we go. Very cool. All right. So I think that's I'm in agreement with that. Khan should be either Hiddleston or maybe the actor who's rumored to play someone in Star Wars. He's very big. He's an Indian actor.
And I think he might be.
Well, yeah, that's him.
Well, he's rumored to play Ezra, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's who I would like also.
I think that's how you pronounce it. I probably just butchered his name, but
but yeah, he would be another choice for me.
It's Rock Cooley, I think he's British actor.
Rock Cooley, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's 26, damn, okay. Cool guy. Yeah, he's moved to play Ezra like at some point. So if that's gonna happen, I'll be a happy man.
Ezra Bridger, yeah. Well, I mean, the Ahsoka Tano show is in production, right? Like it's So I feel like if we're gonna get Ezra or Grand Admiral Thrawn anywhere, it'll be maybe in that show. So we'll see.
Well, hopefully they do the right thing and cast Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn, just so we can have lovely voice of that. It's like, to defeat an enemy, one must know them, not simply their battle. I could go on for hours to wait for. Let's switch to Strange New Worlds quickly. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, this is not the Star Wars stream you're looking for.
It's not for Star Trek. Yeah. So episode 2, Hammer Time, aka Children of a Comet. That's my saying for the week. I love this episode. It's dancing with Hammer Time. But no, don't clip that, Dom. I feel like this episode just worked really well. Mainly because Pike's dinner scene, like that was just great. I love that whole sort of cruise sequence there. It worked really well.
Yeah, I agree. Everything about this episode, the more I watched it, the more delighted I am by it. What I particularly tuned into was the Uhura stuff. I was just like really chuffed about all the backstory. I mean, also learning that she has kind of a tragic backstory is interesting, with the loss of her parents and her brother, being raised by her grandmother who's in Starfleet, and a lot of folks are hoping that even if she can't play the grandmother, that there's a framed picture of Nichelle Nichols somewhere.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be a really fantastic little thing. Yeah,
I think she's fully retired now, isn't she? Like, I think she did the last convention a month or two ago. It might be coming up. I can't remember. But it'd be great if they could even use archive footage. Well, they could maybe use archive footage, but
Well, as we know, just like actors, sometimes their retirements take like many
Yes, yeah.
years. So you know, if she has it in her, it would be such a delight to get like
Even an
a
audio
cameo.
recording or something would be great.
Yeah, especially since Nichelle Nichols, I think is the only one from the original series that never came back on a Star Trek series, because we had McCoy in TNG. We obviously have had Kirk. We've had Scotty. We've had Sulu in
And I'll see
Generations.
Spock in Next Gen
Sorry,
as
not
well.
Sulu. Sulu in Voyager. We've had Spock, of course, and then we've also had Chekhov in Generations.
Yes, yeah.
So everyone except Nichelle has come back. So it'd be a nice little treat, I think,
That
for
would be, yeah.
fans. That would be a fan service I would enjoy. And again, like you said, even if it's a voiceover, even
Speaking
the
of
picture actually
fan
would be cool.
service, bloody just give me Archer. Like, come on. Give us a flat. So, recently, people might be interested to know this. Adrian Holmes, who plays Robert April in the opening episode of Strange New Worlds, confirmed he has shot additional scenes for Strange New Worlds. Confirmed this in an interview. Dom, if you're listening, could you find me the link to the article so I can quote it directly, please, and tell people to read it? As one of you posted in the work chat in the week, and I've lost it already. We talk so much stuff in the TC work chats, it's mental. But anyway, Adrian Holmes confirmed he shot more scenes. Now, what I would love to see, the commissioning of the Enterprise, and it'd be a great moment to have Scott Bakula as an aged Archer.
That would be
That'd be
really
great.
great, actually.
Dom selling
We've
which
saw-
article, so we'll find it in a minute.
So Jolene Blaylock was seen at the premiere of something on Star Trek Day or something like that. There was like something that Jolene Blaylock recently attended, which was so a lot of folks are saying, well, if you can't have Archer, T'Pol would be a good choice as well, because she could certainly be around at this time, you know, like so. You know, I wonder if we'll see T'Pol in Strange New Worlds.
I
would
that.
definitely want that. Yeah, I would love that, and I would definitely, I would love to give T'Pol something, you know, like a moment in and to just see her character, kind of how she's evolved, and like catch up with her. It would be really cool. Did she in fact marry Archer? Did Trip survive? Ooh. Was it a
Justice for Trip? I'm just gonna say, by the way, I found out. So the Hollywood Reporter interviewed Adrian Holmes, and he said, "And I returned to shoot some more, but I don't know where my journey is taking me. You have to wait and see what happens." So he has returned to shoot more scenes. Whether they
now this is for season 2, yeah?
I don't know actually. So this article's on May 12th, so it's just a week gone almost. So obviously he probably interviewed about season 1, I imagine. But
okay.
We don't know. Like, there's no confirmation what season that's for. I believe it is for season 1 though, but it could be season 2. We don't know just yet. But I quite like the idea of Robert April as Admiral April being like Admiral Forrest and just popping up occasionally.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Great. All around, every character so far that I've been introduced to is really interesting, and I'm like, you know, dying to get more of their stories. Like that's something I don't think I've ever really experienced that in a Star Trek. Like even previous series, there's always been the character that I like was like, I'm not too interested in that character, you know, but then you eventually get to love them. But here it's like almost off the bat. Now it does help that like a bunch of those characters are characters that I've already, you know, got some kind of you know, association with or attachment with. So like sure. Yeah, most of them are legacy characters, but yeah, even the new characters, like Hemmer was a hit.
I agree. Yeah.
And he only had a few lines, but it was still he came on, he debuted really strong. And you know, again, we're getting like little bits of each of their characters. You know, Mbenga was absent in this episode, so I think that's interesting too. Like they're just kind of like rotating people, and that seems natural on a ship as well. And it's something that certainly, like, you know, we're used to with Star Trek as well.
I mean, it makes sense to be fair. Like, this episode just breathed Star Trek for me. Like, that sort of I hate using the word classic too much, but that classic sort of format of emergency crisis of the week. The A plot is something, the B plot is something as well, and it just worked really well. Dom just told us the fact in the chat going, did you know originally Hemmer was meant to catch the carrot in his mouth rather than a Spock throw it at him? That's interesting. That's a sight you maybe not wanted, but okay. I did love Hemmer though. Like, Bruce Horak is doing a fantastic job of bringing the character alive. We do seem to be just being teased with Hemmer right now, because see, last week he beamed on for 0.5 of a second. This week, we only got about 3 minutes worth of him, I think. So hopefully next week, we actually get more of him. And already from the teaser trailers and clips, it does look like we're getting more of him. By the way, if you want to watch those, a full article on TrekCentral.net and a preview video on Tuesday for promotional pictures and details about the episode tomorrow at 4 p.m. BST, give or take. So look out for them. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to more Hammer time. That's what we're calling it
Yeah,
now.
exactly. I particularly like the spin on disability and impairment that was presented, because for Hammer, it, you know, and for what are they called, his species, his subspecies of Andorians, the Aenar.
I always pronounce it bloody wrong. Like, it's either Aenar or Enar. I always get one or the other. I can't pick a
I think,
one.
are they saying it on the show? They're saying Enar, I think, right?
Like,
Is that...
well, you said Aenar, now it sounds like
You
that.
say
Dom,
Aenar,
what is
I
it? Tell me
say
again.
Enar, you say potato, I say potato.
Jack
Let's call the whole thing off.
assistant editor is currently furiously typing to me, probably to tell me how bad I am at pronouncing stuff once again. It is a running. I can't pronounce stuff in Star Trek. We've learned that many years ago at this point.
Poor Jack is getting hit from all sides here.
Never win. Never win.
But that was interesting, like how a human would perceive him as having a impairment, but for him, that's how his species evolved. So actually, there's no impairment. That's just how they are. And I thought that was an interesting take on disability and stuff like that. Or just an interesting conversation piece on disability.
I really like the fact, obviously, it is a blind actor playing a blind character. That is pretty cool.
That's a great long way for representation as well,
Sure.
you know, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I completely love it. And also, like, the connections to Star Trek Enterprise are beautiful as well. Like, having that connection with the, you know, the subspecies of the Andorians is fantastic, and I love it. Like, I really enjoy it. Hopefully we do see Andorians again in Strange New Worlds. It could be a great opportunity to cement them into canon even more. Obviously, they're already cemented, but it'd be great to have them more, you know, explore. Because the original series didn't touch on Andorians very much, I will say. Very much. So seeing them actually would be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you happen to know, or anyone in the chat, how long Andorians live? Because Shran could still be around too. Like, he could be Grand Admiral Shran by this time, you know?
Don't tempt fate there. Another blue Grand Admiral. There can only be one blue Grand Admiral Starfleet Boy. None of this other Grand Admiral. Don't bring his heresy here on this live stream. Honestly, another blue Grand Admiral. Honest, how rude. Jeez.
Fine, he could be a Commodore then.
I should accept that. No, he was General, wasn't he? He was General in the final.
Yeah,
in the dreaded Enterprise final that some of us have still not gotten over.
They already named a ship after him.
Andorians live for 100 to 135 years. I don't know how old Shran was in Enterprise, though. I think he was already pretty far along. Like, I think he's at least 50-ish in Strange New Worlds, because he was captain at that point.
I would say that's true.
Or commander, wasn't he? I think, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. What'd you think of the Pike's cabin? There was a little bit of debate whether if it was his cabin or his mess hall, but Uhura in her cadet's log says that it's his cabin that the dinner's happening in. So, like, yeah, it's quite a lovely.
It has a bigger quarters.
I want to live there.
Yeah, my flat isn't that big. I don't know anybody who have like a quarters or flat that size. I'm gonna be honest.
He also has an enchanted forest somewhere off in the distance,
and a fireplace as well. He's got a fireplace on a starship. Who signed off on health and safety on that? Don't you dare say it's holograms.
It did serve the cinematographer well, because the last shot of him just before he looks up the kids is looking into the fire, and I thought of "Time is the fire in which we burn."
Yeah.
You know,
I love that phrase.
So... But yeah, I thought his quarters were like very cool. I think my favorite Star Trek space before this of the modern Star Trek was Book's ship. Like, I was saying, like, oh, that could be a really good like bachelor pad type of place, you know,
especially
like
the bed like next to like the cockpit area as well. I'm like, hello there, Han Solo Mark II.
Exactly. So now I'm like, okay, I definitely want Pike's Strange New Worlds quarters. Like, those are.
We know we're getting a scene of Pike in bed with a lovely lady at some point, it seems, or we presume a lady, but that's going to be interesting when we get to that. Pike International Ladies Man, or is it international? It's what was it, Intergalactic Ladies Man? We call him
Intergalactic.
It's the hair. That's what does it. It's the hair. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
I really want someone to whoever wants to do this, by the way, I will not pay good money for this, but I will give you a shout out on Trek Central. If somebody will make a Maybelline advert out of Pike's hair using clips from Strange New Worlds, hopefully Paramount won't sue you, but it'd be hilarious to watch. So please someone tweet that to me ASAP. I would love to watch that.
Textrack in the chat says Kirk's Star Trek 2 and 3 apartment in Pike's cabin. That apartment is pretty. It had a great view
Yeah.
of San Francisco Bay. It was like way up there too. Yeah, it's a good. That's a good apartment. It also has similar vibes. I feel like the aesthetics are all very similar. Like I think Pike's cabin to me reflects a little bit of the TOS movie era, but particularly the motion picture. Like if you look at Kirk's cabin, it's got those modular,
Sure.
like kind of looks to it and stuff like that, and a bit of that mid-century modern aesthetic put in there as well. Yeah, but he's got a grill, like it's he's like it's like a full-on party. I kind of want to be. I feel like Paramount should put together a captain's table event at every convention, and like you can pay a little premium to go and sit and eat with Anson Mount.
Well, I think DST do that. So Destination Star Trek in UK do that thing, and in Germany, I always forget, do a thing where you've got like the Admiral's package, I think it is. I've just closed my bloody browser window now. Whoops. It was somewhere around here. I'll try and see if I can read it to you, but I'm pretty sure you can pay for a ticket at Destination Star Trek, where you can like have dinner with the guests who are showing, or breakfast with the guests who are showing up. It's quite outrageous. I want to find a ticket just to tell you about this now, because I'm not sure if you've heard about it before. How much do you reckon it would be costing you to have ticket or have like dinner?
Ooh. It's probably expensive, like $1,000, I would say.
Close. Where is it? Somewhere around here.
While you look that up, Dom is saying, do we know if the person in bed with him is the same person from episode 1, Captain Patel? Wait, there was someone in bed with him in this episode?
No, in episode 1. This is episode 2.
Oh, I think that was Captain Patel.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, she comes out of the bedroom all dressed up and then has breakfast with him, right?
Yeah, no, that is. We're saying in the trailer if that's the same person.
Oh, there's another. Oh, I'm sorry, I
yeah.
missed that. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. Pike, eventually I guess he ends up with Vina, but for now, until then, there could be lots of ladies in his, or maybe they'll finally shed this whole idea of in the future maybe everyone's like bisexual and polyamorous.
Well,
so
I can't wait to see that Twitter argument. You just know that's going to upset. Like, why are you kissing Spock? What? Anyway, back to my other discussion. The ticket, by the way, for that Destination Star Trek thing, your guess was £1,000. It's actually £3,000. So in dollars, I reckon it'd be about 4,000, give or take.
Wow,
that's my estimate. And that gets you 3 days entry to Destination Star Trek. It's an exclusive tea meet and greet. This is tea. I think it's a spelling mistake. Meet and greet for all Admiral VIP package with Star Trek actors on Saturday. So that's everyone who's coming to the show. You get a poster, a meet and greet of a Star Trek actor on Saturday and a Star Trek actor on Sunday. You get overpaid talks, reserved seating, one full party ticket, yeah. You also get access to a private lounge. I think the breakfast option has been removed. It used to be there a couple of years ago, I think. It's mental.
I think a single kidney goes for around $5,000 these days. So maybe I'm gonna have to.
Well, the rate mine are going lately, but I won't be selling any. If I was drinking something other than Earl Grey right now, that joke could be a bit more appropriate, but I'm not. So Jack's drinking escapade will stay hidden below decks.
Jack, how did you feel about the light hazing that was happening with Uhura in this episode
funny.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too. I thought it was cute that
I was having a discussion today, like. I don't know how your work background works, but I've worked in the services or hospitality industry myself before, running my business. And like in any industry you work in, there's always that bit of workplace banter, I feel like. And that is a way to build relationships in work. I was having this conversation with someone today about like a building site, for example. And the best way to assert yourself there, in a sense, is have some good banter. And like play with each other, and you can class it as hazing in a sense. It's a bit of like thing of like having a joke with someone, and you build up a good working relationship there. As long as it's not malicious, I don't think it can be sometimes. But in this episode example, it wasn't. But usually, like, I remember there was a great many jokes when I used to work in a cafe and hospitality and stuff like that, and you just riff off each other, and that's what keeps you getting through the job essentially. So for me, like. I found the hazing pretty fine. It was quite tongue-in-cheek in a sense, but it worked well. Especially if it's like you guys need to get out more.
Yeah, I think the intention is so important, and you're right. Like, there was definitely no ill intention. It was just meant for a good laugh, and also it's a tradition. And how she says, like, you can check that off of your bingo card, and so on and so forth. But yeah, Uhura didn't seem very very pleased with it. I like that she's kind of like still a little bit of an outsider, and so she has these like little things. So I like that we'll see that evolve, and she'll become more of a part of the crew. It is cool to kind of see that. So I like that element of it. The only other thing from the dinner sequence is like Pike has that moment where he kind of like like just kind of like is shook a little bit by the 10-year question himself. Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. And
I love
then
her
the
number
whole
one notice as well. So it's like that's really cool that she's also aware. Like it seems like number one Spock, obviously Pike's closest advisors and friends, so obviously both of them would know of his experience.
Yeah, and I wonder if like, you know, for me it's really working because they're doing these things in terms of like the writing and the structure. You know, I'm not like too good at like analyzing writing and critiquing it, but I will just say from what like a casual observer's perspective, it's working really well where they drop these like kind of moments that actually pay off within the episode, because it does pay off with like, you know, with the conversation she has with him twice. So like both Spock and both Uhura and Pike have these interesting like setups where they have a conversation and it like has one kind of meaning, and then at the end they have another conversation with their counterpart and it has a different meaning. So it's like with number one and Pike, and then with Spock and Uhura, and I love that like parallel of those two characters in, you know, in this episode as well.
I completely agree. Like this episode just like pushed all the right buttons for myself. Like there wasn't a moment really I was like even like Sam Kirk just being an idiot, to put it politely. Like it's like I'm gonna go touch the flashy things and that as well. I'm like, who the hell says that? It's on par with going, that was pretty wizard. I'm bringing it back, baby. No, I just love this episode. And also like this Pike's negotiation of religious zealots, it's great as well. Like I love that. Like I really worked really well. Having a B plot there, seeing like Ortigas take the Enterprise and spin it around and make it look fantastic. Oh, give me more of that. Like someone just in chat said, I hope Sam's like an idiot in every episode, because I feel like that could work. It's almost like a writer's joking verse. Yes, like we can't kill him, but we are going to knock him on his ass every episode. I want to see that.
It would be hilarious if like we never get to know Sam Kirk because he keeps getting like
every week says bang. I bet you next week, for Ghost of Illyria, which is episode 3, I reckon like he will be the first one to get sick or something like that. Because we presume episode 3 is about a virus. I think it is. I say presume. We know it's
like a red shirt. A red shirt
in
light.
blue. He's the Poundland version of a red shirt. We've got a blue shirt instead. UK fans understand what I mean by that joke, but I want a red shirt. Yeah. We have red shirts at home. It's Sam Kirk.
Watch him switch to a red shirt later. That'd be funny.
Temporarily switches to red, then goes back. See, what was it? I think in the first episode, Uhura was in gold, wasn't it? Command gold. Someone was like arguing in our comment section earlier about that. I'm like, well, if things get retconned occasionally, like it's not the end of the world. Like, it's that old canon argument. I just get bored of arguing with people now discussing it, because you can never win against some people anyway. So not just about winning, but it's just like, oh.
Well, it's not even about winning. It's just not even. There's like not even any real compromise. It's like this or nothing. It's all or nothing. And
victory or life.
It can be frustrating. I like to approach canon as though it's like a living organism. It's constantly evolving and changing. And you know, again, I'm not a canon, a keeper of canon by any means. Like I'm all, you know, I was a little bit more of a stickler in my youth, but like as I've grown older, I just feel like if you're enjoying the story, like you can. I like to make use of my head canon, in other words, to kind of fill in the gaps, I guess. And so that's how I approach it.
I see you just said in chat, like, Kirk is basically a red shirt with plot armor. He has a lot of people on Strange Shores have plot armor. That doesn't detract from the story yet. I feel like it works well.
Yeah.
Like I'm liking it.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Speaking of Kirk, they mentioned the mustache in this episode, which I thought was really funny. Where Pike is like, "Oh, I'm starting to like the mustache," and he's like, "You should think about growing one." And then Uhura gives him like a side eye, which I thought was a really, really funny moment. That's one of the other things about this episode, as well as Strange New World so far, is like I really like the sense of fun that they've brought into it. Like there is a
Sure.
lot of humor and like a lot of jokes and stuff like that, but it gets really good when it gets serious. The other moment, wow, like it's like what you said. Like there's so many good moments in this episode overall. It's like such a winner. But the other moment was Ortega's flying the ship with all the evasive maneuvers and everything in it. And I feel like we've never seen a battle like this in Star Trek yet. You know, it was cool. It almost gave me. I haven't played STO. I'm dying to play it. I just don't have I don't have a PC. I'm gonna have to invest in a PC or wait till I get my PS5. Finally.
If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, Starfleet Boy wants a PC. So showing, send your board cube over, please.
Thank you. Yes, I'll totally show it off.
Chill for a month or more.
Yeah, I totally will do it. But anyways, I'd like to play it eventually. But it reminded me of some of the views I've seen where it's like like the follow cam a little bit, like, you know, but of course done in a much cooler way. And the Enterprise just looks so good, and I love the wide shots where they like to show scale and stuff like that. And you know, just the battle, and it was really well done. I thought it was really well put together, and it made sense. You could like everything they were doing, like kind of, you know, the sequence, in other words, made a lot of logical sense. And it wasn't too crazy. Like there wasn't like so much information. Like there weren't like 1,000 drones, even though we know like Enterprise has them. There weren't like 1 million drones coming out of her hangar deck and
yeah, that was
helping, you know, like so I
still stand by my point. Weirdest moment, like it just doesn't make any sense personally.
What did you think of the shepherds?
I liked them. Their ship, interesting design. But yeah, I just like the whole concept of it. It worked really well. It was very sort of classic Star Trek elements. However, I wish we could have spent more time with them. That's what I'll say. Like, if it was a species we'd known, perhaps it could be interesting. But also the idea, yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe they could have had a little bookend with another captain's dinner, but with the shepherds aboard the ship joining and meeting the crew, and maybe we find out a little bit more about them. I do think that, like, you know, this is probably going to be one of the trade-offs of episodic television, is that we're probably going to get to meet a lot of aliens that we won't get a lot of. Like, in my opinion, I think we're going to just get like the alien of the week.
That's also the part of like doing Strange New Worlds. As much as it'd be nice to see other things, it's not, or like things we're common with. It's also nice to see fresh new ideas as well. That is fantastic. It's what Star Trek's about, is introducing us to new concepts, going where no one has gone before, and finding these new alien species. Though I wish like maybe we'd learned more about them, in a sense like, hey, who the hell are you? We'd love to meet you and understand you. When in fact they didn't really know who they were. Unless they did know who they are. I don't think that was quite clear. Unless they knew the species or something like that. I don't think they did though. So that was where I was left a bit like, okay. I would like to explore more though.
There was that little moment, Dom's pointing it out, I think, considering they talk about, I wonder how many more are out there. Yeah, I wonder if we will see other...
Every time a comet pops up, the shepherds, every time a comet pops up, oh dear.
On our chat earlier, someone, I think it was in our audience here, it was either Jill or Stress Free K or someone pointed out that the Masks episode in TNG, they were also it was a structure within a comet.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so the comet like melted away to reveal the Masks ship or whatever it was. So we've seen that before, and I think something happened on Voyager. Voyager's my blind spot, so I don't know a lot about, but I feel like there might have been a comet type of thing and a structure on a comet in Voyager or something like that is what they said. I remember
the probe episode in Voyager where we found like one of the probes and something like that.
Oh, okay. When you said that probe, I'm like, yeah, that's like probably the 500th episode with a probe, an alien probe in Star Trek in general. Like, when are we gonna get one show quickly. The other thing I wanted to know a little bit more about would have been the species on the planet, because another connection is Persephone 3 is in the Persephone system, and Persephone 5 was mentioned in Star Trek: The Next Generation in the episode where Admiral Jameson, the guy who's
yes, and the Enterprise stopped there, didn't it?
Yeah. So to pick him up, he was semi-retired on Persephone 5, so that was cool. I knew when I watched the episode that it was Dom's probably proud of me right now. Uh, he's like, yay! But I knew when I watched the episode that I'd heard Persephone somewhere. I just didn't know where. So with a little help of
Did
Google,
you
I was able
also
to find
catch that in when Pike's like getting back his cadet list and learning about all the young officers who he'll eventually save, one of them is born on the same colony that a young Annika Hansen will later be born on, which is really cool. So I caught this as well because I was reading up a 7 of 9 for a video recently, an article, and I was like, hang on a minute, that's the same colony name. I've forgotten it now, but it's the same one. We've got a short coming out tomorrow on Insta and
Very
TikTok
cool.
for those interested, but it's really cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, it's interesting to know. Like, that's kind of interesting that he's going to be following these kids. Like,
It's daunting as well. Like, it's really like
it
dark.
is, yeah. I hope he doesn't get obsessive with it.
Like, imagine
like-
just say one of those young cadets passing by one day or something. That would be like, that'd freak the hell out of you, knowing that, you
Yeah,
know.
that would freak the hell out of you. I would be like, better not to know them until I get to meet them in the timeline. But it is interesting that Pike is trying to get meaning or make sense of his predicament, you know, and he's trying to find, like, even within this predestination framework, he's still trying to find meaning and see what he can do within that framework to make a difference, and so I think it's interesting that it makes sense to me that he would look them up, and see who they are, what their lives are like right now, who are these people as kids. It'll actually heartbreakingly attach him more to them, probably.
For sure. I think that's one of the dangerous things.
Yeah, and seal his fate in a way. So I don't know. It's like an interesting concept.
I was thinking it sounds like I wouldn't want to know. It's like, well, you could contact them now. Like, are we going to see a case of Pike changing the future in a sense? Like, because he could contact them and say, "Don't join Starfleet, or I'll break your legs." We could see him changing the future. This is where the time police show up.
Or I'll break your legs. We find out in Strange New Worlds, Pike's actually the most nefarious villain that no one ever knew about. Like, he's like worse than Khan.
This is actually like certain people to get the wish when we find out this is actually What If. This is Star Trek What If. Yeah.
Dom's pointing out that it's also a bit creepy that this data is pretty accessible. Yeah, to our sensibilities, it's definitely creepy. I mean, like, we face this right now, kind of, like, right? Like, there's a lot of information about us out there on the internet, and an internet stalker is a real thing. Is Pike Pike a subspace net stalker? Like is he gonna be stalking?
I've been watching
I think
you.
it's creepy. I think it's creepy by our standards, but I do like to believe that 23rd century humans don't like. I like to believe that, like, this is like basic information that's part of a census, maybe, that's taken once every like 5 or so years. So it's not going to have like too much about their lives. But that being said, if technology goes the way it does go, that is certainly something nefarious people can exploit, because I feel like in Star Trek, there's always been let's call up this person, and there's like a huge file, like, about that about just about anyone. There is a database, like, in TNG we see it a lot, like, when you're looking up whoever, like Dr. Juliana Tamor, for example, when they pull up her file, there's like a huge file with her whole history, and it seems like her biography. So it seems like computers of the future are just compiling all your information and biographing you, in a weird way.
It certainly opens up a conversation about this, because we're, like you say, we're facing this in real life right now, where there's so much data. And I think, like, even if people want to be, and this is a question I've had of people all the time, like, people say, oh, I won't use Facebook, or, for example, or social networks because I'm getting tracked. I hate to break it to you, you're getting tracked by everything these days. Like, I always use this argument. If I leave my house right now using data, there's a high chance someone can predict exactly what I will do. Typically, if I leave the house around about 5, I'm probably going to the shop. Something like that. Like, using common data, people can predict behavioral patterns. You're already being tracked whether you're using Facebook or Twitter or not. That just helps and adds to the equation. So, like, all of this data is currently, helping us. So when we get to the far future of, like, hopefully like Star Trek and not Star Wars or The Expanse, then it's going to be, I mean, it sounds pretty fun. Like that, data, you're still be freely accessible, and you're going to be tracked. Like, if you're beaming around places, people know where the hell you're going, don't they? Or know where you're coming and going. Not even have access to your
Yeah.
entire body profile, for Christ. You could transport I'm breaking off into a really bad, like,
No,
point
it's
now.
an interesting tangent, but like again, it's you. The technology that you're talking about is being used in beneficial ways, but also in nefarious ways. And where does that balance come from? My belief is that by the time of the 21st century, most citizens of the Federation don't even think twice about being like nefarious with this information. But again, you still could use it nowadays. Like for example, what you were talking about, like patterns and stuff like that. That's how credit cards know when you might be experiencing fraud. Is they know that, like,
exactly.
You do, there's a certain pattern that develops and the algorithm tracks it, and as soon as it goes outside that pattern, you get a phone call. And it's happened to me from my credit card where, are you actually here buying this? Like, is that really you? And I'm like, yes, it is. Why do you know
Let
this?
me buy
like,
my coffee in peace.
Yeah, so yeah, it can be a little scary, and then again, certainly we humans today are not evolved enough to use this technology, I think, in a safe way.
I think the idea of being able to access, so obviously one thing is, like, the reason Pike can access that information, he is the captain of a flagship of a fleet currently, so like he'll have an expert computer access, and whether you like it or not, Starfleet is essentially a military in a sense, because they are charged with protecting Federation space to a degree. Like, I know there's this really big argument where Starfleet actually is a military.
I'm on team non-military, but I also respect and understand, like, the argument.
The point I'm saying is, like, they are the people in charge of protecting and ensuring citizens are safe.
Right.
They are going to have access to this information. They are essentially a security force as well. Like, security forces typically have access to the information that is protecting people and stuff like that. It's like an agency. I think Texture said in the chat there, CIA, FBI, MI6, they all have access to the information. What they do with it is the cause and, like, the concern, really. That's what, and that's and we could, like, do a whole stream discussing information accessibility and stuff like this, but that is what is going on.
Right on.
People thought we're being tracked by vaccines. Yes, that's only opens a long conversation, that one. Let's theorize about.
I activated my 5G.
I've got mine in here. Let's talk about next week's, by the way, because episode 3 goes to Valyria. Have you seen the previews for episode 3?
Yeah, I saw the previews. It looks really fun.
I'm looking forward to
really
it.
Interesting. Yeah,
it does look like we'll see more of Dr. Mbengo as well, hopefully. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and Hammer's gonna have a bigger scene, I think, as well. Jill in the chat's pointing out, I can't get a read on Una. She's the one person I can't get a read on yet, so I'm hoping for more of her. I think that's gonna also we're gonna get more Una next week as well. So,
I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that she's, like, harboring a secret as a character. Don or TJ, point me the interview we pick that one up again, please. But I'm pretty sure we learned something like Una's hiding something, or there's something going on in the background of her character. If my lovely assistant editors might be able to send me the link in a minute, I will continue this point. But yeah, I believe there's something going on with the character, hence why people might not be able to read her very well yet. And basically, this episode is the time we actually get to spend more with her. We haven't really had a dedicated Una episode just yet. I believe episode 3 might be the episode even more.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense, because there's this, like, scene in one of the trailers where she's glowing or something's happening to her, so I wonder when we'll see that happen. But yeah, there's
someone in the chat just said number 1 doesn't have plot armor, she's at risk. That's one thing. Number 1, like, if we think of all the characters in Strange New Worlds who need to survive, she's not one of them. There's no record of number 1 in any of TOS, I believe. So yeah, that's.
Oh, you do see her. I guess you see her in Menagerie, so that's the only time.
So. That's a flashback.
You see her, yeah. Well, yeah, the tapes or whatever they're showing, like the footage. So yeah, exactly. But we don't know her fate. We don't know her fate.
Mbenga's fate.
No, we do know Mbenga. Mbenga is an interesting one because he appears twice in TOS.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, I forget.
And he's part of. It's the only time that TOS kind of hints that there's a larger meta, because most of the time it's just Chapel and McCoy, right?
Yeah.
But that's the only time we get hints that there's actually a whole medical staff and more to the medical.
Oh, just 2 people hanging around.
Yeah, there's 2 people hanging around. So yeah, we get him. We get a reference to a Dr. Sanchez as well. So apparently there's this other doctor, who knows, we might meet. Maybe he's on the ship as well. But what will be interesting about Dr. Omega is to find out why he stepped down or is no longer the CMO, and why McCoy takes over as the CMO later. So that'll be an interesting thing. But Hammer's fate could be up in the air as well. We don't know anything about him. And then they've been introducing a lot of these like characters which I think are unnamed. Like one of the things I like doing, Jack, is I like to assign an episode husband to myself when I see a cute guy. And so this week it was, did you take note of the young ginger
the helmsman? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that was my episode.
Is he called
husband,
Lieutenant Parker? I think he might be.
He's Parker. Oh, cool. I like
think
his
so.
name,
Someone could double check with me. I'm pretty sure he's called Lieutenant Parker. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But anyways, I'm worried about him because when I was watching TOS, every time I would identify an episode husband, they would get killed by the end of the episode. So I'm worried about all my episode husbands. Kyle's going to be an interesting one, I think, to find out more about. And he's been in every episode so far. We only had 2 episodes, but I think he's going to be like popping in a lot. So yeah, it is interesting. There's some characters that we won't know what happens with. How did you feel about like what did you think of like Nurse Chapel in this episode and like her flirting with Spock and that whole little
I think it's great.
subplot?
Like, it's a good idea. Like, obviously, the only thing is Spock's wife's going to turn up at some point, and now are we going to see the punch up of a century? Because we know T'Pring's turning up at some point, as Trek Central originally broke the news that Gia Sandu was appearing as T'Pring, not Deadline. So
That's right.
I was just pointing out it can't be an exclusive article, all right? Like, not when someone else has already broken it. I'm just saying. Like, I know people are going to get very upset at me saying that, but it's true, okay?
We have the receipts, right?
It was not worth us arguing online, but like, someone else tweeted this back as well. I was like, we reported on Gia Sandu's casting like in 2021, and the Deadline kept an article going, exclusive. I'm like, is it though? Is it? It's like, if I did that, I'd get in serious trouble. Like, exclusive Anson Mount in Stranger Worlds. Shocker.
Yeah. I do remember you guys dropping that. Actually, I remember seeing that. But yeah, T'Pring's totally gonna come back, so there's gonna be something there. I wonder. The idea was brought up in a discussion earlier that like, what if Spock actually does? He's engaged now, right? So like, it'd be interesting if he like succumbs to Christine's flirtations a little bit and has a moment that like breaks T'Pring's confidence in him, and that's why later on in TOS she ends up with Stan, because she's like, oh yeah, like I didn't really appreciate that or something like that. So who knows where it could go. A lot of little things that they're setting up which are very intriguing. They could go somewhere, they can't. Who knows?
I've just seen the greatest comment in the chat from Valamis, I think her name is, where it's like, it's a great series for us bisexuals. That is true. There is so many fantastic looking people on Stranger Worlds, so everybody's having fun with that one. So yeah.
In general, Star Trek's really a very attractive cast, like all across the board. Like, I feel like I don't know if they try to do that on purpose, but it just ends up that way. So
my new dream is I want Andre De Kim to join us on Trek Central Weekly Live, whatever the show's called now, and just so we can fanboy for about an hour and a half straight. So I think we can do that. Let's start a campaign to get the Transporter Twink on Trek Central. CBS,
I'll start
please.
adding him today. I'll be like tweeting at him today, like, Andre, will you do this? But he got his start on Degrassi, which is a Canadian show, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, so that's where he comes from. So he's pretty new to acting, but he's great. I like him a lot. So Canadian actor, which I'm not surprised we get a lot of Canadian actors.
Dom's just corrected me. It's Lieutenant Dever. Is it Denver? Diva? However that's pronounced. That's the lieutenant, the ginger lieutenant, should we call him?
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
thanks, Dom. So I've changed my last name to Deaver now. So
I could swear there's Lieutenant Parker as well. Deaver. I must be forgetting things. Like,
Parker might be the other officer who was at communications while Uhura was down on the planet. Maybe she was Parker. I'm not sure, but I do remember hearing the name.
No, never mind. There was a Lieutenant Parker appearing in episode 4. Apparently, Jack's been reading his list wrong incorrectly again. Kaylee Harwood is playing Lieutenant Parker. Thank you, IMDb. Sorry, yeah, Lieutenant Diva. No, it's not. Is it him? I'm confused now because he's mentioned for episode 5. It might be. Yeah, let's just call it. Yeah, cool. Right, we'll go with that one. I've got a ton of lieutenants in front of me. I'm like,
Well, hopefully he doesn't have a horrible fate. We haven't seen any red shirts die yet.
Not yet. I look forward to jinxing that for episode 3. So
I think it might actually happen. Pike, I feel like Pike is trying not to get anyone killed, but he's going to be disappointed for sure because it is
wonder how
space
that will
and
affect
space
him.
is a deadly place. What's that?
I wonder how that will affect him, like losing more people or more parts of the crew, because it's pretty clear the Discovery's loss affected him and Spock. I wonder if that will affect him more now that he's still dealing with PTSD. I wonder if that's yeah.
Yeah, I think it will. Like I remember, it was noted last episode when he says, "We're going on this mission to go rescue number one." Nobody dies in this one, and I remember like Spock kind of looking over at him like a little concerned, like, "Uh-oh, that's like an unreasonable expectation, right? Like you shouldn't be." You shouldn't be making statements like that because it's a promise you can't really keep, so to speak, So, so I think you're onto something with that. Like, I think they will make it a part of his story. Yeah.
I love both the discussion between, like, I love the chat with Pike and Spock, but also the contrast between Pike and number one as well. Both those conversations are unique and they work individually in their own ways to help Pike with the current trauma he's dealing with. I would love to see Pike open up to other people as well. That could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, he kind of told the whole planet, Kylie. He's like, I know my future. Like, so part of that is he makes a speech about it in the last one, but I don't think like the crew caught on to what he was saying. Like maybe they just like.
It's that great quote, isn't it? I love this quote. It's like, because to our last moment, the future is what we make it. Please stick it on one of those motivational posters you get around a flat. Up next, I want, because to our last moment, the future is what we make it. I want that next to life's too short to drink cheap wine. I want it next to that. Speaking of wine, did you see the best picture ever that came out of this week's episode is Anson Mount handing you a glass of wine? I want that. Every man or woman's dream or anyone's dream is to come home and just have Anson Mount going, rough day.
By the way, thank you you tweeted that at me.
I did.
That's really awesome.
I was like, yeah, obviously, for those who don't know, we announced Starfleet Boy as our brand new live host here on the Trek Central team this week. And did I reply back to you? Because I tweet all the time, forget what I tweet, which is really bad.
No, you did. It was for my birthday. It was also my birthday. You did the announcement, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, thank you. It created a lot of fun. Did
I tweet that personally or from the TC account? I can't remember now.
I think you did it from TC, or it might have been personal. I don't remember now either.
I mean, I am a resident Trek Central shit poster, so it's no surprise that I've not said something bad, but
yeah, that's a great photograph. I feel like that should go in the shit I stole from the Borg Queen folder to have it like easily accessible at all times. And which I renamed my online like folder shit I stole from the Borg Queen because I thought that was such a good
I love
name. That. So it's like I just throw things in there that I know I'm going to reuse over and over. But yeah, that's such a good picture. I hope they do like a you know how Leonardo DiCaprio in Great Gatsby, he's like, like has the champagne goblet.
Oh yeah, it's like going like a bit of a.
They should do that with Pike. It would be really great to see that.
I would love that as well. Yeah. I just love that picture. It's so much meme potential right here. I love it. Like, give me more of this.
Maybe we could do one with him like holding out a glass and then another one of him taking it away, and you could do one of those like. To
be fair, I thought of a really bad meme. I can't do it anymore because Paramount have thankfully announced international rollout now. But you know the George LaForge one where he's got the beard and he's like, but also he's like, good ideas. Jack's own memes there. I was gonna tweet out basically Paramount Plus US only of him going. But then also when like Paramount International going, But I thought, how much trouble will that get me? And if I tweet it from a TC account, I don't care, so we'll tweet it anyway. But I never got around to making it because I couldn't be asked to Photoshop it.
That's pretty.
I was being really lazy that day.
My face has been turning red slowly. That's interesting. I don't know I can't locate the light source.
I've got no filter on your camera, so that's odd.
Hold on, let me see. I'll fix it later. It's okay, folks.
We'll fix it in post. We won't.
A new alien species here with the pink, bright pink skin. So
I really want to do a panel at Destination Star Trek or Star Trek Mission Chicago and call it Star Trek Shitposting 101. And we'll get Star Trek, we'll get Swear Trek on it. Me, a Who else could we get on it? I don't know. We can get some funny people on it. Funny Trek people.
I need to hone my skills at ship posting. I feel like it's something I've always wanted to do, but I don't do it very well. I'm like one of those people that jokes just kind of land awkwardly and badly, so I try not to make too many of them. But I'm gonna learn it. I'm glad I'm in touch with a master shit poster here. So it's like
Hey, Ian says he'd watch it, so
how do you learn this power? Not just from a
it's
Jedi.
great power. I am no Jedi. People are asking what the logo is in your hoodie, by the way. What is it?
Oh, this is from Star Trek Chicago. So this is their the Mission Chicago official logo, and it has the city of Chicago and stuff like that. And then on the back, whoops, I just knocked over my tea.
So Hale's going to destroy his desk while showing us his hoodie.
But on the back, there's like a giant. I don't know if you can see it.
Try the other way around. Try the other way around.
Yeah. Oh, try the other.
We might be more in shot there.
I'm trying not to show my bum.
Okay, well, we can sort it. We'll take you over. We'll tweet it later to avoid getting striked on YouTube right now. And we've been broadcasting now from Twitch because Hale got us banned on YouTube.
Can you guys actually hear me still? My headphones.
We can still hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Not only has Trek Central been suspended from Twitter once, but we're now banned from YouTube. That'd be a record, wouldn't it? What other platforms can we get banned from for reporting legitimate news? You can tell the salt's still there slightly, can't you? Chat, what are we gonna do? Hey. So Ghost of Valyria episode 3, that's coming out this Thursday. Obviously, I'm looking forward to that. I'm inclined to see where it goes because a virus episode, that's like touching a bit close to home with recent events in the last couple of years, which I don't need to name for people to know what I'm on about. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes down. I'm looking forward to it though. Like I've not seen episode 3 yet, unfortunately, so exciting when we watch it.
Yeah, I'll be seeing it for the first time next week on Thursday too, so I'm excited for it. We don't get a lot in the teasers, which I like also because I kind of like hate when a teaser shows a little bit too much.
I love theorizing though. Like this is one of my favorite things. Like I love obviously when I write the preview articles, I write basically theories but as well because I just love it. I think that's a great bit of Star Trek is theorizing, and so far my theorizing has done rather well. Like who would have known a traveler would be returning in Picard? Thank you, Spotify. I let Dom just put reject humanity, return to Moff. Not this again. Bury that meme and keep it dead, please. Dom, don't tell me you're a Moff man. Come on now.
I have to look this up now.
It was the Moff meme ages ago. Like, Dom, can you explain a meme to us? Because us old fuckers over here don't know. Dom's profile pic is his alter ego. That's true. That is his alter ego. I don't even know what his profile pic is.
Funny. I thought he was a stand for Jupiter Station or whatever.
Starbase One now, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So, Dom, where's your Jupiter Station logo on?
For those wondering, I finally managed to. I tell what we can do. So, for a while, here's a little Trek Central story. I don't think I'll get told off for telling. I wanted to get a picture of Dom on the Trek Central website, and he wouldn't let me put one on there because the only picture I had of him at the time was him in Andorian Antlers from DST 2019, and I wasn't allowed to put that one on there. When me and Ketwolski did the live streams, we were adamant we'd put it on there. So then it turned into Dom saying, I will give you a picture of myself, and he sent me a picture of him with a bottle of wine, and I will not say what he did with that bottle of wine. So I couldn't put that one up. Now, finally, there is one of Dom on the website. However, I feel like we need to redo. Can we redo every Trek Central profile picture, but each of us holding a glass of wine in Pike style? I think that'd be hilarious. Chat, what do you think? Can we do that?
Great. Yes, I'll send wine tonight. That's a really good idea.
That's how we start next week's things, holding a glass of wine to the camera. I've got a cup currently with my own bloody logo on it. There we go, everyone. I've got some good wine glasses, so.
I don't know how I know about the Dom Andorian picture, but I'm dying to see it, Dom. Like, release the
Apparently, I've made
picture.
It sound weird now by saying he did something with the bottle. He drank the whole bottle, okay, and that was what was there, and I'm not allowed to post it. You're the one who made it sound weird. As
Uhura says in this episode, it gets weirder.
It gets weirder. The Admiral's ordered an apron just to do that. Ian, you have the looks to pull it off, so you'll be fine. Everyone at DST this year, if we all beam down to it, we need to start a panel, if we're allowed to host one, with all a glass of wine. That should be us in the bar. Everywhere we go, I want the Pike wine gift. Like, just make it a thing. Drinking bottle's not what I imagined, you dirty bastard. Chat, we can't
The
trust
other-
you anymore.
Drink the bottle was not what I imagined.
I don't want to know what you were mashing up. Oh god. Anyway, Ghost of Valyria episode 3 airs this Thursday on Paramount Plus. Don't forget, it's only a couple of weeks now until we're getting Paramount Plus in the UK and rolling out future places. I believe by episode 7 of Stranger Worlds we will get it here in the UK, which is great. It also means you can watch things like Halo, Discovery, Prodigy. Hopefully we'll get some more dates soon on what's next after Strange New Worlds, because we presume Star Trek will be on air all the time. So hopefully they're going to actually tell us what's next after Strange New Worlds. I'm thinking it would be either Lower Decks or Prodigy. Wouldn't surprise me if it's Prodigy.
Yeah.
Though, that's an interesting one, actually, because it'd be Lower Decks for 10 episodes and Prodigy for 10, which means another show will need to come after that unless we're going off air. Because Discovery Season 5 is nowhere near ready, because I think they're due to start filming it in June, I think.
I think Picard has a chance of being a Nexus Christmas present.
Yeah, I think Picard could end or air early January, which is, if we take a gap for December, not an issue. Well, an issue for some of us who like, our December content outputs for various reasons. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. However, it's not something. Hey, if I can get a holiday out of it, I wouldn't complain. So, trying to schedule a holiday at a minute as a Star Trek content creator is a bloody nightmare. Today I was sat around, I was like, because I want to go to Comic-Con here in the UK, and I applied for a press pass, and I was like, cool, let's go for like May 27th. I thought, great, my calendar is empty on May 27th. I can go to Comic-Con. Obviously, Jack forgot to add in the Obi-Wan shows airing that date, so not only do we come off Strange Worlds on the 26th, we've got Obi-Wan. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
There's just no break from sci-fi at the minute.
I'm excited because it's a bank holiday here in the States. We don't call it that, but I just called that for your reference. But
I appreciate it.
We have a bank holiday in the States, and I have that Friday off, so it's gonna be a huge relaxing day of celebrating the other Star franchise. It'll be really fun.
Fantastic, yeah.
And of course but last thing I want to say about this episode of Strange New Worlds is I'm noticing like an interesting pattern where Pike, you were talking about Pike dealing with his trauma. In the last episode, Leon's tragic story of her family's loss kind of opened Pike's mind to a possibility different from what he had imagined for his fate. And then in this episode, I feel like they were building upon that too, because when Uhura reveals the nature of what was it called, Mahanit?
Yes, yeah. It's a really good name, by the way.
Yeah, Mahanit. It's Mahanit. But when she reveals that the telemetry that they had gathered hours before the actual events showed that that it actually had the path avoiding, and also that the shape was the same as the final shape as it was cut off. So then Pike is like, when he says thank you for that report, it's like you could see his mind turning a little bit and being like, oh yeah, like this is also a lesson for me. And what's interesting this time too is that both Una and Spock, who know his fate, also seem to have like a revelation. I feel like they're pals in this, like they're cohorts.
It wouldn't surprise me if they try and change like his future because they care about him quite a lot. Like, there could be an opportunity of exploring a lot more avenues of Star Trek here. I hate to bang on about this again, but we could easily explore the Time Police and the idea behind that. If Pike tries to change his future, Pike's future is a dominant event. It's a fixed event in the timeline, arguably. So it can't change, else we create an entire different future. If Pike doesn't have that accident, then that can ripple affect quite a lot of stuff in the timeline. So yeah, that is interesting.
I agree with that. And the time crystal itself, like, locks it in somehow. Yeah. But it locks it in. Like they were saying, he was saying, Tunavik was saying that, once you see it, that's it. You're locked in future. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see him try to change it and see if there's any mystical properties even with Boreth that come into play, where something happens where the time crystals react to him trying to change things and they reset. They make it impossible. Like, what if that's like an interesting struggle too? Is that they almost make it impople for him to change
I would love.
his
I mean,
fate.
one of my end scenes with Strange New Worlds, I would just love to see Pike officially handing over the Enterprise. To Kirk. Like that's the end. Like, leave Strange New Worlds there. There's two. Think about the ending of Strange Worlds. There's two ways they could do it. They could do it where they just hand over the Enterprise to Kirk and call it a day, and we see the transition. And like, one thing would be lovely with that is if we saw a transition and they like onboard new crew members. Oh, this is like, you know, Commander Scott or Lieutenant Commander Scott. He'll be joining us as the new chief engineers. Like Hemmer and Pike leave together, like something like that. Or they phase in these characters over time. Like that'd be really cool. Is build the TOS crew over time. Like we're going to introduce Kirk. Really cool. Unfortunately, I still don't like the idea of Kirk being introduced just yet. I think it's too soon. However, like introducing other characters, I imagine like they can cast a younger McCoy to replace Mbenga at some point if they wanted to. Stuff like that could happen, and we could build the TOS crew early on. Because if Star Trek is smart, if they build a TOS crew early on, they could realistically reboot TOS if they wanted to, which could be. Yeah. Some people have said, I wonder if that's what they're doing. Like, I don't think they would be. I don't think they'll dare touch TOS, but that could be an interesting thing.
I think TOS will always have an importance in terms of like just from a historical perspective and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be closed off to the idea of retelling some of those TOS stories for a newer audience, because I do see that among younger people it is a little frustrating for them to get into, especially with modern Yeah, like especially with more modern storytelling sensibilities, it can be a little frustrating because whatever the aesthetics and all kinds of things. So like I think for the health of Star Trek as a franchise in general, it wouldn't hurt. Also keeping the core, TOS is essential, I think, in terms of like the core of the franchise. So that would be a neat way of like just reimagining, for lack of a better word, if you will, the whole TOS thing. But at the same time, I also feel like I wish they would do it, but do new stories, like not maybe revisit some of the great classics like The Trouble with Tribbles,
Sit on the Edge of Forever or stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that, but like to keep for the most part, keep it fresh, or maybe not even touch like City on the Edge of Forever because it's such a classic. But who knows? I'm very open to it, so I don't have like any hard stops on that. Jill in the audience, who goes by Crazy Space Monk, had mentioned on Twitter, and also mentioned in the audience, but his time is no longer fixed once the menagerie ends, like once he gets back to Talos. And that is interesting because the Talosians couldn't reconstruct Vina because they had such like shitty DNA examples or examples. But now having Pike and having met him and having met other humans, when they reconstruct Pike, he's going to be a lot more of a perfect reconstruction, and they might even be able to improve upon the reconstruction of Vina as well. So maybe
that'll change a lot of Star Trek canon. Never be like, ooh,
right? But maybe there is an untold story of Pike after Menagerie that has the potential of like, oh well, this is your fate, but you didn't realize there's actually more to it than that.
Just to touch on the Kirk points again, I agree with Ian and TJ in the chat here. It's like introducing James Kirk this early on does feel detrimental to the whole sort of Strange New Worlds campaign. Obviously, we reserve our judgment until Paul Wesley actually appears on screen at Kirk, i.e. the end of season 1. I'll bet £5 anyone. However, I still think it's too soon for Kirk to appear. Why do we have to introduce him in season 2? It's too soon. We can reference him, and to be fair, we didn't need James Kirk. We've got Sam Kirk as a cheeky little reference and something to connect us. Sam Kirk, also a character who's not been explored for more than 40 minutes before. Plenty of time to flesh him out, but I feel like both himself and the rest of the cast are going to be overshadowed by Paul Wesley playing the legendary Captain Kirk. We've spent enough time in Star Trek history with James Kirk. Yes, we can explore his timeline now, but we don't need to do it. And I know people are saying we won't take up shit, don't worry. It's still a worry yet until we've seen it, as I'll say. Like, that's my concern. Like, we wanted Pike. Let us just have Pike and be happy with it.
I knew that Kirk would come into play. I
think we all knew he would.
Irresistible. But I didn't. I also am in agreement with you. I kind of like, in an ideal world, I kind of would like that to be like at the very end of the journey, like what you said, the handoff sort of, So like I think
like a phase in. Did we speak about this last week?
Yeah.
I don't know when we spoke about this last week. I mentioned obviously a TV show called The West Wing. Have you watched that before?
Yeah. I haven't really watched it all, but yeah, I've caught episodes here and there. Yeah.
I mentioned the idea behind it is like in the last season of The West Wing, it's about presidents, obviously, and like the president we've watched for the whole like 8 seasons, I think, or 7, 8 seasons, is basically voted. It ends his term and he leaves office because he's done 2 terms. However, they start phasing in a new one. So the last season of the show ends up with the previous administration leaving and everyone going their separate ways, and the new administration coming in. And certain key main characters stay on with the new administration. Very much what Strange New Worlds could do. We could introduce Kirk in the last season of Strange New Worlds and phase in the crew or something like that. That could be a way of doing it. Also, they just shouldn't bloody have announced Paul Wesley early on. So what if we saw him on set? We've gotten away with that before, Paramount. You didn't need to do the announcement. I don't know why they announced him. Like, also, save the hype. I'm well aware that certain gobshites, i.e. myself, would have picked it up from a mile away. However, until they actually confirm stuff, we are incorrect or not like... I'm not undermining myself by saying this, but until Paramount actually say, yes, 100% this is Captain Kirk...
There's always a doubt.
There's always a doubt. We are, like, even when the Hollywood Reporter or Deadline say it, unless Paramount have 100% said it, it is not confirmed until the studio confirm it. Like, Paramount said, like, certain Star Wars... Not Paramount, sorry, Deadline said certain Star Wars things. Well, until Lucasfilm come out and confirm, and Disney, it is not 100% confirmed as of yet, because they're not commenting on it. Why Paramount felt the need to announce this before Strange World Season 1 aired, it just serves to overshadow Pike, in my opinion. I know some people may disagree with me, perfectly fine to it, but still, that's how I feel. I don't feel like we needed Kirk announced early on. Leave it as an Easter egg, come on.
I definitely felt nervous because, like, what someone in the audience was saying earlier about the promise that, you know, Strange New Worlds was going to be a Pike. That's the whole reason everyone went to bat and, you know, kind of like requested this series and stuff like that. But I will say I have a guess, which is I'm going to guess that Pike and Spock don't actually meet Jim. I'm guessing it's going to be a Sam Kirk side mission to go save his little brother, and so we'll never actually, it won't quote unquote like interfere with established events, but we'll get to get our Kirk and eat it too. Oh, that's a bad pun. Sorry, that's terrible. But yeah, I have a feeling that it's going to be something like that. I mean, who knows?
All I'm saying is we somewhat know that the Farragut may be appearing quicker than we think it is. I'll tell you more about that another time. So,
okay, cool.
No, I'm not doing the old classic inside sources thing. But look, it's easy to find stuff online. So I'm calling it now. If the USS Farragut with Kirk turns up in the end of season 1, I won't be surprised. All right, and I think people shouldn't be either. So rant over.
Ooh, we got 8 weeks to find out, Jack.
Oh boy, 8 weeks for TC to be knocked on the head by Paramount. No, I look forward to getting a tweet going, "Why are you doing this, please?" I felt really bad because, like, obviously I did the article on James Callis. I got that right. We ended when Wesley got that right. I was like, there's certain people who probably hate me quite a lot right now. Then again, it's not like we did somewhat have the access to the information, but it was public info we were using to like populate those theories. And like, if it's public, we can report on it. It's what fans do. Learn the lesson, Paramount.
I agree.
Yeah, that's my 10 pence for today on Jack's rant of the week. So
Jack's soapbox moment.
Yeah,
we should do that with like a banner card.
Do you know what really
everything.
grinds my gears? Bloody geolocking. What's the point?
Do you know what misaligns my matter-antimatter intermix?
Oh,
I'll tell you right.
Do you know what really fuses my plasma injectors? 2 Star Trek Twitter accounts. What's the point? You know, just have one. Merge them.
Ooh, I got a little. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder happening. We live in the subtropics, so yeah. Ooh, it's a big one.
We were meant to have a thunderstorm today. Instead, I got rained on instead because that's the UK weather. Literally, we've been having like a somewhat mini heat wave this week. The only day I decided to go out the flat and do something proactive rains the whole time. I'm like, thanks, that's really nice. Like, I've worn a black pair of jeans, which are now even like, darker because it's rained. Great. But my hair looks nasty today because it stood in wet weather for a bit.
You guys have that nice rain where you can walk like a mile and it's like a drizzle, but here, if you walk like from your front door to your car, it's like having a you're like canoeing. It's like having a shower. Exactly.
Save on energy bills, to be fair, and water bills. So, alright, so I think we've touched on everything from episode 2 and theorized about episode 3 and had our rants of the week. So I reckon it's a productive week for us. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I think, yeah, Strange New Worlds is a hit so far. I don't think I've liked any show this much in a long time. So yeah, it's something I'm
Likewise.
really looking forward to. I'm obsessed with it. I've been watching it over and over, and I don't get tired of it. So
I
yeah,
just
it's
came
pretty
away
cool.
from episode 2 going like, oh wow, it's beautiful, and I think that's the best place to end it. To be fair, what a beautiful episode, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the series, and if it lives up to what Strange New Worlds setting itself so far, so I'm very excited.
Cheers.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us this week on Trek Central Live. We'll be back next week at 9 p.m. BST, as per usual, to bring you the latest Star Trek discussion and news. So, Hale, thank you very much for joining me today. Where can people find you, as per usual?
You can just go to @StarfleetBoy on Twitter, and you can search Google for Starfleet Boy, and all the things come up. But we'd appreciate a little subscription on our YouTube channel if you have some time. That'd be really nice. But
You can also find him via the website now as well, because you've got your profile up there. So.
It was very cool to see me up on the website, and you can find me here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, which is 9 p.m. British time.
I need to start putting those times on the starting soon. I need to get in the habit of doing that. We were talking. I feel like we should do like a promo trailer for next week's episode. That'd be kind of fun. I was meant to do it this week, but sidetracked everything else. If we do it for like next week, it'd be fun. So yeah, look out. We're gonna do it on next. Like this week on Trek Central Week, we need to get like a really cool. We'll get Ensign or Lieutenant Adam, who does our lore videos. Like this week on Trek Central Live, Jack rants about Paramount, and so Hale shows off a hoodie while spilling tea. Don't miss Trek Central Weekly this week on Prime, when we're bought out by Amazon. I can dream.
I love it. Our shenanigans will be famous.
We get like a really catchy Friends intro song as well, like. Friends with Strange New Worlds theme. That'd be good. There's a job for the week. There's Editor Jack job for the week. That'd be quite funny. All right, well, thank you much for watching. We are going to cut off now, as we'll be here all weekend talking to you. But don't forget, we've got Trek Central videos all throughout the week, including some of our brand new hot topics to talk about, which are very fun, including is there a new Enterprise on the horizon? Look out for that video tomorrow. And also, we've got the preview videos of Strange New Worlds on Tuesday and Wednesday, so keep out for those as well. And yes, Dom will be back very soon, sometime, hopefully. But I think we might have a special guest this coming week, so keep out for that and tune in. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. I've been Captain Jack. You can follow Trek Central, all the social links down below in the video description. And if you're watching this on VOD, do comment down below if you've survived it this far, as we're very curious if you have. Thank you very much. We will see you very soon. Live long, prosper, my Trekkies. Goodbye.